What's up guys, fourth lesson on how to use the essential tools in Photoshop. In this lesson we're going to talk about one of my favorite, the transform tool. So let's jump in Photoshop, in this way we can talk about it. Now this transform tool, it gives you the opportunity of changing the scale of the image, change perspective of the image, the sides, swap it around, lots of things. Now let's analyze each characteristics of this amazing tool. What we're going to do first, I'm going to unlock the layer. In this way I'm going to original layer, I don't have any troubles. I'm going to create a new one. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this layer. In this way we got two copy. This is very important because now I'm going to tell you something quite important to remember. When we working with the transform tool, any changing that we do to the image, it will definitely give you slightly bit of change to the pixels. Now let's see what I'm talking about. Here we got different options when we go in transform. The scales option gives you the opportunity of making the image bigger, smaller, okay? And again, what is very important, we got all these dots, we go to these dots and it allows us to change. And remember, it doesn't change the canvas, the layer underneath, but just the image that is on top of it. What is very important, remember what I was saying, is when we scale an image and we reduce it, we're scaling down, for example, what will happen? We are squeezing and we're losing some pixels. So when we lose pixels, technically, we're losing qualities. So when we look into this, you already see a little bit of a variation. Now, Photoshop is quite a good program. It gives us the opportunity as well to still see a good quality into it. But what happened? In case I confirm this transform, and I'm happy with this small image, and then I go back into edit and transform, and then I go back into scale, and then I bring the image back after that I transform it, and I bring exactly the same point to the original form. When we look at the image, and I confirm it, when we look at the image, I'm going to activate the underneath layer. But when we look at it, and we remove the layer, we can see that we lost the quality. So what we're learning from this is that when we're using the transform tool, it's important that we have a copy of the layer, because in case we need to come back and we don't like that, we lost the quality. Now we got different other options. Let's go into the transform. We've got the free transform, which is the one that we can easily activate as well with the command NT. So command NT, automatically I got the free transform. It gives you the opportunity to scale, to narrow down, again, anything that we want to do. Let's delete this option. Let's have a look at the transform. We also have the opportunity to rotate. Okay, very easy. We go to the corners, we see this little curve. It doesn't rotate the entire layer, the canvas, it just rotates the image internally. Even if we press Command and T, automatically we activate the transform and we can rotate very easily. Okay, now let's delete it. What is quite interesting, I think that I really like, let's bring it back. We know now how to do it. When we have the example, the skew, it's very funny, very interesting. So it's the kind of thing that we don't really use much in the retouching, but it gives you the opportunity that when you take a corner, it just moves that corner and it gives you that kind of effect of very narrow, very interesting in case you need to do something a little bit more of strong feeling into an image, or you're doing some designing, things like that. Not really into retouch. You also got the distort, which again, already the name can tell you what it's probably going to do. It's going to distort the image. So again, it kind of, you can also twist around, which is quite funny. That's very cool. Now let's delete this. Let's have a look what else we have. Transform. We also got perspective. Again, it doesn't move just one side, it moves the other side as well. I like it because this one, it kind of gives me that feeling of when you see Star Wars, so you got all the credits and the history coming through, and then the letters goes in their way. The last one is the warp. The warp tool is kind of thing that we tend to use into the retouching, in particular in the hair retouching. I do use it quite often. The difference is that we don't have just the dots on the external, but we have also some circles. And we can see we have basically the image in 9 pieces. And this gives us the opportunity of kind of changing and play around with the image or the piece that you're working on. Remember, any type of transform that you create, when you confirm it, you can always come back into the Command and T, and then you can also scale it. Okay, so it gives you the opportunity that once you confirm, you can still use the transform tool. That's again is important to maintain the original tool, the original image. In this way we can always come back in case we need, because otherwise we will lose it. Okay, remember the warp tool, we also find it when we clean the Command and T automatically. We got the button on top of there where we can just click it and access to the warp tool in a very easy way. Okay. Also, when you look into the transform tool, you also have the option of rotate the image automatically. You can flip it horizontal or vertically, which is quite interesting. I don't know, when you're designing, and it's just very easy to assess that. Okay, this is all about the transform tool, which we find very interesting, very good to know how to use it into the retouching side.